wherever we are in our spaces and places, to be able to listen, to hear, to love and to care, and to be able to be a part of this Eastern Civic group. We thank you, Lord, for all of those who are in attendance and those who wanted to attend and for whatever reason could not be here. Again, Lord, we thank you for all that you do to enrich each and every one of us daily in our lives and to touch and keep our families from all hurt, harm, and danger. And Father God, as we go forward, please continue to allow us to be what we need to be in and within our communities, sharing love and information, and providing for those who are less fortunate than us opportunities of success. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Yeah. At this time, I'm going to ask Miss Selby if she would give you our morning welcome.
Good morning, everybody. We're certainly glad to be here. I see a lot of people joining us by Zoom, and we're certainly glad to have you. And those that's in the building, we welcome you to the second June 14th meeting, the second week and Saturday. That's when we meet. And we're always glad to have you. To our speakers who will be speaking with us today, thank you so much for bringing your expertise and enriching our communities and communities in northeastern North Carolina. You are welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Selby, for that warm welcome. At this time, I would like to share with you the objective of our Eastern North Carolina Civic Group. Mr. Matthew, would you like to share that with us?
Be happy to. Good morning, everyone. The objective of the Eastern North Carolina Civic Group is to provide an organizational structure for Black Americans, minorities, and poor people, and to encourage, promote, and involve members in all facets of government.
Thank you, Mr. Matthew. At this time, we will have our roll call. And what we will do is, if you are online this morning, as well as those who are in present, if you will just say what county you are from, we would appreciate hearing that. So if you can this morning, online people, please announce yourself and tell us what county you are from. Okay, I see Marion Bird. Good morning, Marion. We have Northampton County here. We have Martin County here. We have Dare County here. We have Gates County and Washington County. Are there other counties available this morning? Edgecombe County. If for whatever reason I did not call your county, please feel free to announce yourself. We have Cynthia.
We have Pitt.
With Pitt County.
Miss Jones, we have you.
Thank you for your attendance this morning.
Madam President, we do have a quorum. We do have 7 counties, so we do have a quorum.
Thank you this morning for allowing us to have a quorum. We know that there are a lot of activities throughout each community with Juneteenth celebrations, some being handled today and other things going on prior to Father's Day tomorrow. At this time, we will call for an approval of our agenda.
I'm making that we approve the agenda. Says.
A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
A second. With that being said, we now approve our agenda. Those in favor, let it be known by your usual voting sign. Ayes have it, and so approved. Today, because of celebrations and Father's Day upcoming and certain things that have gone on, we do not have our minutes available. We will present that at our next meeting as a part of an ongoing thing. Um, as far as chairman remarks this morning, Mr. Stokes, again, as I said, he's our chairman. He would love to have been here this morning, but we wanted him to be able to celebrate in his own hometown community, Washington, where they were having some Juneteenth and representation from Senator Davis, I believe, and different ones. So he's in attendance also there to make sure that our community and our Eastern Civic Group is represented. As far as other items on the minutes this morning or that I will bring to present, the main thing that the Eastern Civic Group has been involved in lately is we have been happy more than with a pleasure to be giving out scholarships throughout our 23 county school systems. And that's been a wonderful thing. We have been able to give out at this point 12 scholarships to graduating seniors throughout this part of Eastern North Carolina. So we thank you all for your participation in making that a possibility. And to those seniors who are graduating and moving forward, we ask them not to forget us and to someday, at some point, return to their communities and help them to grow and build. At this time, are there any other remarks or anything coming from the floor that need to be said? As far as the point we're at now, our financial report, we are going to table that for now. Also, and we have some speakers that are supposed to be coming in here, and I'll let Ms. Selby, our secretary, introduce those to you. And again, thank you.
Today it's a pleasure to have with us to speak to us this morning Dr. Jovita Lee. Dr. Lee is the policy director for Black Alliance. She also director for the Black and Brown Policy Network. Jovita comes to us and give us updates, legislative updates, what's happening in the Senate, give us the latest on bills, and she always is willing to share with our organization. We appreciate her expertise and her knowledge that she can share with us so that we can share with our communities and neighborhood. I'll introduce to you Dr. Jovita Lee. Okay. She has not signed on yet. We'll move in to the next speaker. Ms. Moore, are you ready? Hello? I see you highlighted. I don't know if she can hear me. No, ma'am, we can't hear you. 1 minute, y'all. We can't hear. Can anybody hear Mrs. Moore? If you can, raise your hand. I have my volume on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think, hello everybody. My name is Tatiana Moore. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Portia Pope. She's the acting director at the office. So I have a few updates regarding mental health. So our health disparities report revealed that nearly 1/4 of people in North Carolina said that they had a mental illness. And so with that, the state is expanding peer-led services in North Carolina. And these services are led and delivered by those with lived experience of recovery, hoping to provide support, hope, and some practical guidance to others that are also on their recovery journey. And some examples of those services are what they call peer living rooms. So welcoming spaces where people can go to receive support from trained peers during times of distress or need. Also peer respite, which are short-term, non-clinical overnight programs where people can receive peer support. Also, the state is working with a committee of peers to revamp the peer certification process to make it more accessible and inclusive. And then there's also scholarships that can help individuals become peer support specialists. And I can drop a link in the chat if anybody wants to learn more about how to become a certified peer support specialist. And then we also have a peer warm line, which is free and it's available 24/7. It's a confidential phone service that's available to anybody who wants to speak with someone if you're having some type of mental health crisis. And that number is 1-855-PEERS-NC. And of course, I'll put that in the chat. And as I mentioned, it's available 24/7 and it's designed to complement the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That's all the updates that we have from the state. But if there's any questions, I can give them to Dr. Pope and we can make sure that we get back to everybody. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Hope everyone enjoyed that and had an opportunity to listen in on that. At this time, we have, I believe, Dr. Jovita Lee online. Good morning, Dr. Lee.
Good morning.
Hi. And you are now, if you are ready, you can begin your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. I will share my screen because I do have a couple of slides. But good morning, everybody. Good to be with you all. For folks that may or may not know me, I'm Dr. Jovita Lee. I'm with Advanced Carolina as Policy Director and with North Carolina Black Alliance as the Program Director. So I'm just here to give a couple of updates, legislative updates, and then I will answer a question that Ms. Betty raised to me yesterday around the kind of back and forth with sanctuary cities and things of that nature. So I will go ahead and get started. And so a couple of things to flag. And so the last time I was here, we did talk through HB 127. So this, as a reminder, is the bill that would criminalize voter registration that would be conducted by organizations. And so organizations like ours, like yours, it would become a criminal offense for you to operate a voter registration drive, and they were making it a Class 2 misdemeanor. So that is how the original bill is written. So we do expect an updated version of this bill. So it did come back. It had actually gone to rules way back in like March, and it sat for a while, but they did pull it back out of its grave and allow for it to go and it make crossover. And so that's why we're talking about it again, because we did believe, well, some organizations believed at one point that it would not come back up. Advanced did not believe that. So here we are with it coming back up. But again, we do believe that there will be a committee substitute, which essentially is like a new updated version of the bill. We do not have that committee substitute as of yet. So this is the original language. This is where it stands as of now. And so if we get that updated substitute, of course, I'll get that to Miss Betty and she can share it with you all. What we believe, this is theory, but I do want to share with the group, what we believe is that they will significantly reduce the impact of this bill. The reason why we believe that is because voter registration is nonpartisan. And so they wrote this legislation, in our belief, with progressives in mind, with Democrats in mind, and did not have their own interest in mind when they wrote this bill. So it's not just a matter of progressives and Democrats needing to be registered. Republicans have to be registered too. And so they did not think that part through when they crafted the original language. And so we have reason to believe that they're going to water this down and not have it to be a full criminal offense. There may be a situation where we see that the rules around voter registration changes. So organizations may still be able to conduct voter registration drives, but there may be a specific deadline, or there may be a specific reporting requirement for organizations for them to have what they believe is a check and balance around the process. So those are some of the things that we're predicting. Again, we're waiting on the substitute, but this is another bill to flag again because it is back in play. And so it was in election law, got stripped from election law. Then it was referred to state and local government. Then it was reversed back to the election law. And then it was pulled again. So we do not have a new committee assignment as of yet for this bill. It was supposed to be heard a week ago. We had folks ready, geared up to be in the building, but they caught word of that and pulled it off. That's normally what they do. And so that's where we are with this. And so we're waiting for it to be rescheduled. And again, any updates with this, of course, I'll share. But that's where we are now with HB 127. It is unfortunately back in play. Another one that is still in play that we've talked about before is HB 171, which is the original anti-DEI bill that they crafted. This is the one that would apply to state agencies and state government. So this bill did make crossover. It's currently in Senate rules. And so, again, this is the bill that would prohibit diversity, equity, and inclusion in state agencies and state government. So thinking about funding, thinking about policies or initiatives, if there was diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings, if they believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion is included in your hiring practices. All of those things are included in this legislation. And so it has not moved out of Senate rules. So that's currently where it's sitting right now. But this is one that did make the crossover deadline, and it is currently still in play. The other DEI bill, because there's three, this is the one for K-12. So SB 227. This is eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion in public schools. And so this bill would prohibit engagement or advocacy for what they consider discriminatory practices or divisive concepts. This is a term that they've used in all of their diversity, equity, and inclusion legislation, is divisive concepts. We have asked several times for a more definitive definition of what divisive concepts are, or what would be considered, or how would these bills be in practice, because a lot of words on a page, but how would it operate in practice? They do not have an answer. And so we have been asking the bill sponsors, to be more definitive around what they mean. We know what they mean. We can infer, but we want them to say exactly what they mean, and they have not done so as of yet. But this could really damper the way our educators are able to educate in the classroom. And so thinking about, being worried about, okay, am I teaching technically a divisive concept according to the legislature? If I'm teaching about Black history, if I'm teaching about Asian American history or whatever other concepts, would that be considered divisive? Or is that just me teaching history the way that I'm supposed to be teaching it? And so putting that additional pressure on our educators to have to think that literal as they're educating our students, and then also be concerned around any type of pushback if they are deemed to be teaching divisive concepts. It also would eliminate some of the bias training that educators normally go through, because that would be considered diversity, equity, and inclusion according to their loose definition. And so it would create this kind of chilling effect to where, our institutions don't require that kind of bias training or diversity training that's offered to educators. And so this one has made crossover, but it has not been, assigned to a committee. So it's not, so all of the recent votes on it, quote unquote, are old because they have not been assigned to anywhere. But it did make crossover, so that means it's still in play, but it has not moved forward or been assigned anywhere. And it's the same situation for SB 558. This is the one that applies to higher education. So the last one was K-12. This is higher education. And so this would prohibit our public institutions from engaging in or advocating for what they consider discriminatory practices, compelling students, professors, administrators, or other employees to profess their belief in quote unquote divisive concepts. And so we asked a couple of questions around, like, okay, if there was curricula that highlighted, again, like African American studies or African American history, like where do those courses fall? Would they be able to continue to teach those courses? And what we presume is no. And then also, this is in conjunction with the already 2024 decision that the Board of Governors made to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion in our higher education institutions anyway. So this is not the first time that they rolled back DEI for higher education. This started in May of 2024 when the UNC Board of Governors decided that they would completely eliminate and roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion in our institutions. And so this is essentially part two. So this is not the first time that they've had to roll this back. As folks may remember or recall, several institutions have already eliminated their diversity, equity, and inclusion offices as of a year or two ago because that was the result of the Board of Governors decision. So this is like round two of diversity, equity, and inclusion attacks on our higher education institutions. This is one that made crossover, but again, it has not been assigned anywhere, so it made crossover. So that means it's still in play, but we do not have an assignment for the bill itself. Another one to flag that's related to education, this is HB 636. This is titled Promoting Wholesome Content for Students. And so this is technically saying, governing bodies of public school units would be required to adopt a policy for the selection and procurement of library media. And if it does not meet the criteria, then it would have to be removed within 1 year. And so our concern around this particular legislation is this in practice could become a book ban. And it won't just be around kind of the narrative that's been around this bill around reducing, education around LGBTQIA or trans rights. That may be part of it, but this also opens the door for if we want our students to read To Kill a Mockingbird or other legend or literature that is critical to education and that we all came up reading or reviewing in our curriculum, that also could be into play when this bill goes into practice. And so that's our concern, is like, how far are we going to go with the banning of the books? And so to assume that they are only going to keep it kind of strictly to one avenue is not realistic. And so our concern is this leaves the door open for interpretation. And then if there are, books or literature that have been in play for years to come that, maybe relate to African American history, Black history, relate to other races or nationalities history, that could also be included in this rollback because it could no longer meet the criteria they make up with this bill. And so that's our main concern around it, is the interpretation, how will it play out in practice. And our concern around this could also impact other literature that we know is critical to the curriculum that our students learn in school. And so this has passed the House. It's a Senate rules, and that's where it currently sits. And so this is a bill in play. Two bills that probably have been taken up your timelines, and I'll include the sanctuary city question that Ms. Betty had in my review of these next two bills. So there's two immigration bills that are on the governor's desk. It's SB 153, which is the Border Patrol Act, and this is the requirement that the Department of Public Safety, Department of Correction, and State Highway Patrol, and the SBI cooperate with ICE. So essentially, it's HB 10 in Part 2. HB 10 was passed last year. That was for sheriffs to cooperate with ICE. Now it's creating cooperations with other entities. So the SBI, the State Highway Patrol, Department of Adult Correction, and Department of Public Safety are now the entities that they want to cooperate with ICE. And so this is a bill that's on the governor's desk. It's partner bill HB 318, the Criminal Illegal Alien, quote unquote, Enforcement Act. This is a bill that doubles the time that undocumented immigrants are held in state jails, and it requires sheriffs to notify ICE ahead of their release. So this is essentially another bill where they're trying to create another avenue where sheriffs have to cooperate with ICE, and they are holding undocumented immigrants double the time. And so there was, I believe, a 48-hour hold. It goes up to a 48-hour hold. So they're trying to increase the amount of time that they have to stay. So that way it gives the sheriffs more time to report them to ICE. Like, that's really the goal of this bill, is like to make sure that all of the undocumented immigrants are reported to ICE ahead of their release, so ICE can get to them once they're released. This is also a bill that's sitting on the governor's desk. The question that Ms. Betty raised around sanctuary cities, she sent me something that came out around on the federal level, why some Democrats may have joined Republicans in their vote around the sanctuary city crackdown. And so immigration is a hot button topic. And so if I'm frank, like, folks are already on road to 2026. So decisions that you'll see lawmakers making, whether at the federal level or the state level, are all because of a road to 2026. I don't know if folks have seen that the GOP has already started their advertisements against certain Democratic leadership across the state in certain districts that they want to shake up. So, 2026 efforts don't start in 2026, they start now. And so folks are already campaigning, is my point. Like, that they're not going to wait until January to start campaigning. They're campaigning now for 2026. And so immigration is a huge talking point, a huge button for folks to consider if they want to be reelected. And so that is a part of the motivating factor around some folks maybe supporting anti-immigrant legislation. One thing I did want to note around the sanctuary city part is North Carolina is not a sanctuary state, and we don't have any sanctuary cities. We may have cities or entities that operate as some form of sanctuary, but we have no formal sanctuary cities, and we're not a formalized sanctuary state. There was language that folks were tossing around over the last 2 years that we have effectively become a sanctuary state, but that's just because during Cooper's tenure, he vetoed immigration legislation similar to what we're seeing now. And so as a result of him vetoing it, the narrative became, oh, well, he's effectively creating a sanctuary state of North Carolina. We are not formally a sanctuary state, so I do not want folks to say we are. We're not. And so that is one thing that I did want to clarify with sanctuary cities as well. Now, one thing I will say is there's a few areas that have sheriffs that are not willing to fully cooperate with ICE. So, like, if you think about your Durham counties, if you think about your Mecklenburg counties, think about your Guilford counties, the Orange counties, the more progressive, larger urban counties, they are not in agreement with this legislation. The reason for it is because local sheriffs, especially in these more progressive counties, have built relationship with undocumented immigrants, their families, and their whole point is they want to be able to continue to build those relationships in community and not be villainized and seen as a threat in the community, because a lot of our, we've had a lot going on between community and our law enforcement. And so there are sheriffs out there that are really sincerely trying to rebuild those relationships and not be seen as the villain in the story. And so there are sheriffs within these more progressive areas that are absolutely against the legislation that we're seeing. And so you may hear folks try to claim that those areas are sanctuary cities or counties. They're not. They just have sheriffs that prioritize community relationship over villainizing undocumented immigrants. And so that's what I'll answer the question for Ms. Betty to kind of say on that. But that these two bills are on the governor's desk. And so he has a couple days left, I believe about 6 days left, to veto SB 153, and then 318. I think he has like 8 days left because one went before the other to his desk. Another bill that's on his desk that folks have been hearing about is the Freedom to Carry Act. So that did pass SB 50. That is the one that allows for the carry of a concealed weapon without a permit starting at age 18. And so a lot of us are concerned about that bill because that really does eliminate the check and balance when we think about folks being able to carry a concealed weapon. I know that I have my concealed carry because I got it years ago. But I had to go through a class. I had to get my permit. I had to be checked out before I could get any type of firearm. And I think eliminating that process is pretty dangerous, especially when you're thinking about it starting at age 18. Think about an 18-year-old, think about the mindset. It could potentially be a very dangerous thing in the wrong hands. And so a lot of legislators, a lot of community folks are speaking out against this bill and are really calling for the governor to veto this one as well, because eliminating check and balance on firearms is just really not what we need as a state, as a country, but definitely not as a state. I think it's tone deaf as we think about the amount of school shootings, the amount of shootings, period, that we are consistently hearing about across the state. There was actually a shooting in Briar Creek yesterday. So the gun violence is not reducing by any means. And so we need to be mindful around how much check and balance are we going to eliminate from folks having access to concealed weapons. And so this is on Governor Stein's desk. And so those are the three: SB 153, HB 318, and XB 50 are sitting on his desk currently. And we are waiting on his decision around veto. The last thing I'll cover today, Board of Elections. So as we know, the Board of Elections makeup shifting has all taken place now. We have a new executive director. Karen Brinson-Bell is no longer the executive director of the State Board of Elections. The majority now, it was previously a 3-2 split Democratic majority. Now it's a 3-2 split Republican majority for our State Board of Elections. The County Board of Elections will be affirmed 625. So that's the appointed members. And then the members will actually formally take office on July 22nd. Some of our potential concerns around the new makeup of the State Board and the County Board of Elections and just kind of how this is going to play out. We see a possibility of aggressive list maintenance. So they could be eliminating folks off of the voter rolls that don't actually need to be eliminated. And that is also a result of what we just saw with the Riggs v. Griffin thing that we just saw between them claiming that folks did not register properly or whatever the case. We do not believe that it died with the decision around Riggs v. Griffin, even though Griffin conceded. We still think that aggressive list maintenance is still a priority of this new State Board of Elections, and so we are concerned about that. We are concerned that they will take elements of the SAVE Act. Now, remember, that's the federal act where they were going to require folks to present a birth certificate or a passport of some sort to prove their proof of citizenship. So we feel like they are going to consider some of those elements in the updated practices of the Board of Elections. We believe that there may be a situation where there could be limits to same-day registration. We do not know, but that is one of the concerns that we have, is that they may limit same-day registration the same way they want to limit early voting. As y'all know, they presented several bills before crossover that were pushing to eliminate or significantly reduce early voting. So they wanted to take it from 17 days to 6 days. So early voting, same-day registration has been a target of theirs for a while. And so we're led to believe that it could potentially continue to be a target. And then personnel changes. Of course, the makeup of the board, the makeup of staff, what will that look like? How will that be into play? Then, of course, how they actually implement the law. We kind of, all of us kind of grew up somewhat accustomed to our previous Board of Elections, our makeup. Folks had a relationship with Karen Brinson-Bell. We kind of, knew what to expect and knew what was what. And we could have a conversation to find out how she would implement election law and that kind of thing, we do not believe that we'll have that open of an avenue now. And so we do have concerns around how will they implement the law? Like how do they interpret election law compared to how we may interpret election law? So that's another concern that we have as well. And so that is it for me, as far as the highlights that I wanted to make sure I shared with this group. And so I will pass it back to whoever's in leadership for this meeting. But thank y'all for letting me share that.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. We really appreciate you coming in this morning and sharing that from the audience and to our presence. I hope you had a chance to really pay attention to her message this morning. She has brought to us some really definite and serious data and facts that as communities throughout Eastern North Carolina, we do need to be in concerned of. As I'm sitting here listening to her, I would also respect you all. Are there any questions for Dr. Lee from anyone at this time?
I have two questions. One relating to what President Trump
I'm
said.
sorry, I can't hear you. Whoever's speaking.
Do you have a feel for how in the farming communities, President Trump seemed to have changed his view on what the farm laborers and how they should be treated or taken back out of the country simply because it's impacting farm operation. Do you have any feeling on how that may trend?
Yeah, so to your point, yes, that is what we're seeing. We are seeing that he's essentially walking it back because the warnings that we had already gave around the labor force significantly decreasing if we continue with these aggressive ICE deportations would happen. Now it's happening in real time. And so we do believe that he will walk some of his aggressive ICE deportations back. We do believe that we will see a reduction in the amount of deportations that we will see. We do think that he will prioritize farm workers or roles that directly impact, some of our biggest industry in the country. So we do believe that we will see a reduction in the coming weeks. We have not seen it yet, of course, but we do believe that he is going to roll back some of his kind of aggressive tactics that he's been operating with over the last couple of weeks. But we are going to watch it play out, but that is our belief.
Thank you. In terms of concealed weaponry, would it be wise for us to start having conversation with our youth so that we have an equal playing field, that they go about and buy their weapons, so that if they confront it, at least they won't be dealing with someone having a 9mm and they got a pocket knife.
Yeah, so I do encourage folks to have community conversations around this. I'm not quite sure where Stein stands as far as his veto, so we do still have the possibility that this does not go through. But I would go ahead and start having community conversations, especially with our youth, around concealed carry, but also gun safety in general. Having a weapon, what does that mean? How to be smart about it? Like, those conversations absolutely need to be taking place, especially as we think about the potential of this bill going through. Right now, as I said, I don't have a prediction of if he's going to veto or not. And so it's really a wait and see game from his office. But I would go ahead and start having those community conversations. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
will come to the table to represent you, and how important it is to make sure when you have people representing you, they represent you. That's one of the push that this organization has really worked to give you support in your communities. And that's important. A lot of our citizens do not know people who are running for election individually. And so we are their voice, and we are their speakers for them to introduce to them those folks who are going out there and saying they're going to provide us for 4 and 2 years with the things our community need. So what this bill is putting in place, or possibly would render us, is no longer the opportunity to do that. Folks, that's a serious thing. That is very serious. And the effects of it, they know is serious. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on the table. The less you know, in some people's mind, they feel is the best you know. That's not true. You need to be an educated public group of people with all your rights given to you, and the right to be able to speak, to know, and to understand what's going on in the world around you. There should not be any cover-ups and undercovers. You should have the opportunity to know who's going to represent you, where they're coming from, and when they're coming. This bill is saying put a stamp on it. Hold it back for those agencies and those organizations that have pushed and promoted this, to give your community what you need to make sure people represented you. Then when she spoke in terms of House Bill 171, diversity in state agencies. Let's wake up, people. We have known for a long time, and there's no shame in saying it. The reality and the facts are there. Black women or people of color for many years have had to really push themselves to educate themselves in colleges and universities, coming out some of the top people in their fields, and being able to highly represent each of you, regardless of your color in your community. They have had the qualifications. But when it came to the time of being hired, many times those folks were pushed back. And those were people of color. At the table, let's just keep it real. At the table were more white women than there ever were black women who were less qualified in a lot of positions. But the color, if you want to really see what diversity was happening, it was a rerun of the diversity. That meant simply black women weren't hired even though they were qualified in a lot of cases. Let's say who was at the table. You know, visit your offices, visit your agencies. We have just in the last maybe 20 years come to the reality that we are a powerful force of people of color. And then let's look at House, this SB 227, you know, in talking about public school advocacy. If we do not advocate for our children in public school, for their rights and for their abilities to study and to be able to be provided with a top quality education, we will never have it. I remember when I started the school, the thing was we didn't have books for a long time, whereas white children did have books. And we just came along and we were given stories from our ancestors, giving stories out of torn pages and half books and unpaged and unstapled pages. But we learned. And then once we started learning, there became a problem, because then they gave us a book because they knew that without the book we weren't going to stop. We as a people, we still need to make sure that in our public schools, that our children are given every equal opportunity to have every resource that anybody in any part of the world is given. And let's look again at House Bill 36. When you talk about our libraries, there are a few libraries now. And basically, keep it real. Our children are resorting to internet for their stories, for their media, for their history. And our libraries are not currently being served to the capacity they should be. But to have a library in a community is a strong force. Because if you don't know, you could always go to the library, pick up a book, and if you didn't know who you were, there was a story about how you became what you became and how you could move forward. Do we really want to take away and erase all our history in our communities? Maybe not all kids are reading, but there is a child somewhere who sits at home without technology, who would love to have a book, who would love to hear a story of how she or he became what they are. Wake up, community. We've got to stand up for things like this that they are trying to defeat. And then there is the story about To Kill a Mockingbird. Let me tell you, that story wasn't written. The truth of it, it was not truly written for us to take it as racism. We got it as racism because of the components, the characters, the actors, the plot, and the setting of the story was around us. It allowed us to see what possibly who could happen to us if we were not well represented in our courts. And because of that story, many people went to court with knowledge. So what are you saying? Take away their knowledge? No, that's not what the English writer wanted. The English writer wanted the child to understand what the setting, the plot, the climax was. So why are you taking that from the child? Because the climax of a story in anybody's life is the point where you reach when you got to make a decision whether you go left or right. So let's keep it real about the stories you're giving. Don't just say we're taking it out for the racism. Yes, you use racism and put it in, but now we learn from that racism, and now you want to say take the learning from them. House Bill, this SB 153, you talk about Border Patrol and the acts of ICE. I sit in a classroom daily and see children walk up and down the hall who are fearful of the possibility if their parents will be home when they get home because they are classified as immigrants. Well, wake up, USA. Wake up, Eastern North Carolina. We are all immigrants in the United States. I don't know where you've been, but we were all immigrants. We came to this country years ago. And now the truth may be you are legalized. Then define legalized outside a piece of paper. Look at the blood and sweat and tears. Look at the buildings that African American people have built throughout the United States. The sculpturing, the design, the hairdos, everything that we have put in place and other people of color. Look at our Mexican farmers and what they have brought to our crops and agriculture. And we have a problem with them. Then America, we are in for a fall. We've got to stand up and get up. And as Dr. Lee went forward, she talked about the freedom to carry for age 18, SB 50. That is serious. When you talk in terms of 18-year-olds being in our communities, and here's the target, our young black men. Okay, let's keep it real. The target is, what's going to happen when that child is not properly educated on that weapon? And weapon makes you have power. It gives you a sense of I'm stronger than the person without it. So when he holds up his hand and the police says, come here, young man, I need to check you, I need to arrest you. And by accident, he goes to say, I got a gun, and he's being honest about the fact he's got a gun. Are you going to have a cop out there that perceives it that you're going to shoot me? Or you just really going to show me that you got a gun? It's wake up time, Eastern North Carolina. Folks, get out of your homes and go do what you have to do. And when you put your vote on the table, stop voting for he said, she said. Vote because you know that what you're voting for is going to affect you. And then the Board of Election, the changes that we are looking to face in the coming future. Who makes the decision? We are the people. Who makes the decision? We are the people. Who makes the decision? We are the people. With that said, I leave you at rest, but not to rest. Thank you. Are there any more comments from the public at this time? And Dr. Lee, I would like to say to you, please send us the slide deck from your today's message.
Absolutely will.
Marion Bird.
Good morning, Marion.
Good morning. I salute you. I know you're a classroom teacher. We know how to talk to the people. Thank you for what you just did.
You are quite welcome. But my heart is North Carolina, born and raised, and my heart is our children. They are our future. Don't take away my history, because my history is on my face. My history is in the growth of my hair. My history is in my hands. How are you going to take away my history? Don't take away my history. Give me a new beginning. That's where we need to be at.
Like that.
If there are no further questions at this time, we will now open the floor up for any unfinished business that may come before us.
Madam Vice Chairman, we do have a plaque, certificate that the Alliance, um, the summit presented to the Eastern North Carolina Civic Group back in April. So I want to show this to the community, express our appreciation for the summit, the summit that happened and it was occurred in April the 17th and 18th this past April. We recognize and we accept the certificate of recognition from the Alliance of Black Elected Officials, the Black Summit, and everyone who were involved in that initiative. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to add one, just Civic, what you were saying. Um, Everyone must understand that politics is local. It begins local. Everyone in Raleigh who is making laws, um, they're being supported in one way or another by folks that we elect in our community on the city council level and any elected official. Uh, we need to understand where their positions are in terms of these laws as being presented. And there's only way out, only one way out of this, and that is to change and send the folks in Raleigh home. They are not qualified to make laws that impact our lives in a negative way. So until we decide to mobilize and ensure growth, measurable growth, and changing the whole atmosphere and practices of voting in every election, understanding what every position that's being voted upon means and how it impacts our families and our lives. Um, we cannot expect any meaningful growth. So just remember, elections, politics are local. I mean, extremely local, right in our hometown, in our streets. So we've got to do our part in making sure folks who are elected have our best interests at heart. Thank you.
I'm just gonna add one thing, if I may. I definitely agree, sir, with what you just lifted, and just want to name that our voter resources for this year's municipal elections will be live in a couple of weeks on our website, safevoternc.org. I'll drop that website in the chat, but just to reiterate, yes, it starts at the local level. And so we are putting a meaningful investment into our municipal election efforts at the Alliance and at Advanced Carolina. And so I will put that site in the chat. It'll have several resources, documents that you can share with communities. It connects the positions on the ballot this year, how it connects to each issue area we care about. So it'll be some good things that y'all can share amongst communities. So I will drop that in the chat as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If there are no other unfinished business at this time, just know
Scholarship, Mike.
just know that we have this Eastern Civic Group for the first time in our history, I believe. We are proud to say that we are sponsoring a scholarship banquet on August the 9th. And I want to see all of you there to help us to continue growing our high school graduates. This year we are awarding 12, I believe, recipients in amongst the 23 counties that applied for the scholarship, and they will be awarded those scholarships on August the 9th at 6 p.m. In Edgecombe County at Edgecombe Community College, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And we hope to see you there. Tickets are for sale through the Eastern Civic Group. Each person within your city group membership possibly has them, along with you will be able to contact either any of your vice presidents from your city group by going online to Facebook and letting us know that you are interested in tickets, and we'll be sure to make sure that you get them, or we set up a process to get them. Our recipients this year,
That's our email address.
our email address for the Eastern City Group is enccg dot gmail@gmail.com. Don't let me get you wrong.
We'll put it in chat.
Okay? And we'll have it put in chat for you. Okay? At this time, I have some better news because I will share with you the names of those scholarship recipients that we have coming forward to us. From Halifax County, we have Dion Brooks. From Edgecombe County, we have Nigeria Hyman. From Gates County, we have Harmony Gatlin. From Washington County, we have Tamia Board. Bear with me a minute. Just give me a second. From Martin County, we have Titus Chesson. From Tyrrell County, we have Ashante Rogers. From Northampton County, we have Anaya Cherry. From Pitt County, we have Micah Crandall. These were the recipients that will be coming to you on that day. And we're expecting a wonderful scholarship banquet. Our guest is going to be Judge Anita Earl, and extended guest, hopefully, will be our North Carolina Superintendent of Schools, Mo Green. So we look forward to having all of you to come out and celebrate these youth and the Civic Group with us, so next year we can grow it even bigger. Again, thank you. Moving along, at this time, are there any new business? Having no new business in mind or on the table right now, we call for any announcements from anyone online or here in our room today. Are there any announcements?
Good afternoon. My name is Tina Brown. I serve as the mayor of town of Robinsonville in Martin County, and also the newly elected chair of the Martin County Democratic Party. We will have a listening tour here in Martin County with our state chair, Anderson Clayton, on Monday, June 16th at 6 p.m. at E.J. Hayes Alumni Center. So if you're not doing anything, we would love for you to come out and support this cause. You will get some updated information on some of the bills and state bills that were announced tonight or today. Also, you will get some other updated information from our legislators. Our state representative, Shelley Willingham, will be also in attendance. So please come out and be a part of it. There will also be time for questions and answers as well. So again, that will be this Monday, June 16th at 6 p.m. at the E.J. Hayes Alumni Center in Williamston. Thank you.
Thank you. Also in our presence today, we have Northampton County Democratic Party chairperson here. I believe Northampton County has a meeting coming up. Mr. Smith, would you like to announce that here this morning?
July 17th.
Okay. His next meeting is July the 17th. So put that on your agenda now. And you, those of you who may be interested, he always welcome anyone that wants to come and share with Northampton County. Are there any other announcements?
Yes, good afternoon. Carroll County Community Development Corporation will be having its second annual Health and Wellness Symposium on Thursday, June 19th at the Vernon James Center. We have a keynote speaker will be Dr. Johnny Williams from Jacksonville, North Carolina. And the afternoon keynote will be Reverend Richard Joyner of Kanita Family Life Center, along with some other speakers. We do have various booths that will be set up. We have a young lady who is starting her juicing business, so there will be free samples for everyone in attendance. Also, on Saturday, July 21st, we will be, Carroll CDC, in partnership with St. John Missionary Baptist Church, will be hosting its second annual Juneteenth event in the Alligator community of Carroll County, which is 5177 Old US Highway 64. We are going to have a wonderful time. For anyone who would like to get more information, they can contact me at 252-796-7146. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill, for that. Are there any other? Again, thank you all for your participation throughout Eastern North Carolina. You have come this morning. We really do appreciate and hope that you have gained some educational knowledge as well as knowledge in general that will benefit you and yours in your community. At this time, if there are no other further questions or concerns, I'm checking, just double checking, so you see my eyes go away from you. I'm making sure I haven't overlooked anything, because I don't want Mr. Stokes to be upset with me about not having done everything. There's a health and wellness symposium on June 19th. He says at the Vernon James Center in Ropers, North Carolina. I'll just announce that again. 8:00 a.m. to 3:00 p.m. Okay, keep in mind, people, wherever you are, tomorrow is a representation supposedly for Father's Day. I know that not every person has had the opportunity to have a father, biological father, but we all have a heavenly Father that watches over us both day and night. So give honor to the man above and to that one that is either in your home or has been in your life. Again, we appreciate you for being a part of us. You help us grow, and we work to grow you. Again, thank you. At this time, is there a...
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
ain't it something going on in Roper today where the president is? Anybody? It's the Juneteenth or something in
Yes.
Washington County.
Yes. Also today in Washington County, and I'm glad you shared that, there's a Juneteenth celebration going on. In fact, that's where our president, Mr. Stokes, is today. Also in the town of Gettysburg, there is a Juneteenth celebration going on there as well. And I do believe it's next weekend. I think Edgecombe County, Rocky Mount is having a 3-day, I think it is.
3 days,
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Juneteenth celebration. So please take part and get out and share in any of these events and have a good time, but be safe. With that being said, are there any other questions before I call for an adjournment?
I just want to thank the speakers for the presentation also, and you too, Ms. Smith.
Thank you again, speakers, for your presentation, as Mr. Dancy has said. Without you, the world would be a tough place in Eastern North Carolina. And without the people who come forward, the world would be a hard place to live if you didn't love each other. Again, thank you. Motion to adjourn?
The people online. Facebook Live.
People on Facebook Live?
Thank you.
Well, you can tell them they can go back and look at it on my pages. It's about 8 or 9. I'm gonna put it on YouTube as soon as I leave here. You can go back and look at it and share it with your acquaintances.
Okay. Today's broadcast will be on YouTube and on Facebook. Please feel free at any time to go back and to look at it and send any comments or questions you may have.
And see the announcement. Everybody send it to me.
Again, we thank you. At this time, we call for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Have a safe and happy weekend, Eastern North Carolina.
Yes.